Thank you so much for tuning in to my 7.41c carry tier list. Hey guys, Dota 2 PowerPoints here. It happened again. I recorded this video talking about 7.41b about 4 hours before the new patch dropped. I thought that Valve wouldn't dare to drop an update on a Wednesday, but alas, I am the fool. 7.41c is out, but to my surprise, the majority of the content in this video is actually unaffected. The only major change is that Lone Druid is no longer an MMR scam, and I'm not entirely sure how good he'll be after the nerfs. Still, the rest of the heroes are probably in the exact same spots, albeit with some slight win rate changes. Please enjoy the video for what it is, and when it's time for the next big patch, I'll be sure to devote multiple hours researching another Position 1 hero ranking. Alright, so this week we're going to be doing some tier list content that we once again took a break from last week in order to do all of those hero guides. This time we are once again doing a carry tier list. This is the position that I play most, the one that I'm most familiar with, but of course my experience will not be dictating this alone, though it will be a very important factor. We're also going to be taking a look at the numbers on D2PT. The reason we're doing that is because I have not played as every carry hero this patch, it's true. And I also have not played against everyone, nor have I watched every single one be played by someone else, be they a pro player or like a shitter. So I'm going to be leaning a little bit on statistics. The last time that I did one of these, there was 7.41 that dropped, 6 hours later, so it was almost immediately made obsolete. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I know Valve sometimes does patches on Thursdays, but if it does, it will officially become my sacrifice in order to shift us over to 7.41c. Hopefully the information is still slightly relevant if that happens. I'm not going to do one immediately the day after. So the actual criteria for this tier list is D2PT numbers along with my own experience. I'm going to try to judge those in roughly equal measure. And we're going to be going through all of the heroes that D2PT considers to be a carry. So there are a couple of heroes that you can play position 1. For example, I've actually played Necro position 1 a couple of times this patch to middling success. But we're not going to talk about him. We're instead just going to talk about a lot of classic carry heroes, along with maybe some heroes that have snuck into the position. You might be making eye contact with Beast Friend right now. He's going to be an example, and I actually look forward to talking about him because the fall off was legendary. So first, we're going to talk about Alchemist. And Alchemist, I guess we can explain the tiers first. Alchemist insists it. So MMR Scam are the best carries of the patch. You need to be playing these guys. And humorously enough, I think we're going to see a returning face in this tier. There's another hero whose name rhymes with Shlone Schluid that you're probably expecting to see up here. He will be there, don't worry. Next up is Exquisite. These are heroes that aren't free MMR, the way that the MMR scam heroes are, but are still very good. And if you're a carry player, you can pick them very confidently in the second phase. They are that good. These are the heroes that if you're trying to gain MMR, you should be spamming in addition to MMR scam, who tend to be a little bit more counterable, I'd say, but this patch maybe not so much. I don't know how to beat LD yet. Necessary scenarios. These are characters that are good, but you need to have the right game for them. You need to either not be countered by their support duo, or you need to be countering someone on the enemy team. There's going to be a few heroes here. Not for pubs. These are characters that you can play, but really only in organized environments where you have a strat that revolves around it, or you're maybe in a 5-stack ranked queue. Then maybe you can play it as well. We're going to zoom in slightly for ease of visibility. Dumpy are bad heroes, you shouldn't play them, but maybe if you're a specialist and you're really diehard, or you have a certain combo in mind that really wins the game, you can go for it, but I wouldn't recommend learning them this patch, for example. And then Sparkling Garbage, these are the worst carries of the patch, and there's going to be a couple of heroes in here. The carry meta is a little stratified right now. There's a couple of heroes that are broken, and a couple of heroes that I wouldn't, gun to my head, I wouldn't pick them, dude. I'd rather play Juggernaut. Who's not going to be particularly high up on this tier list himself, but you get the idea. Starting with Alchemist for real this time, he is good, I think, but I also think that you need to be in the right game. So I'm sure you've seen it by now, but what a lot of Position 1 Alchemist players are doing is they're effectively taking the Ag Slave strategy that you might have seen as a Position 4 or even a 3, and they're just running it as a 1. And the idea is that by having the safer lane and higher farm priority, they're able to get Radiance and multiple Aghanim Scepters even faster than the traditional Ag Slave is able to do. So if you have a bunch of really good Ags on your team, and you go Position 1 for Ag Slave, it's actually really good. But if you don't have those really clutch Aghanim Scepter upgrades, I'm talking Like Keeper of the Light right now is like a very good mid. His early ags is incredible. If you get like early lamp on him, it's so easy to run away with the game. Crystal Maiden is another good example. You can give an early ags on her and you just kind of win every team fight. Bunch of heroes like that. If you have at least 2 or 3 amazing ags targets on your team, you can do position 1 ag slave alch. But other than that, like the traditional alch where you just go like radiance and build items on yourself, it's like kind of shit. Like not completely unplayable. I'm sure you can win a game, but like I haven't seen it because I haven't seen anyone even try it. It's nothing but ag slaves this patch, which is fun. It's a very refreshing way to play Alchemist. I don't particularly enjoy it, though I usually am big on AFK farming. But I've seen a lot of people almost like specialize in it, and it's quite good. But again, you need the right upgrade. So necessary scenarios for Alch, and this is only as Ag Slave Alch. If you're playing traditional hero-focused Alch, he's probably like dumpy. Anti-Mage is dumpy. This hero is not very good. Whatever Valve decided to do, we know what Valve decided to do. They decided to reduce the amount of mana that's burned by his illusions to the point where they don't even like it. It doesn't feel like anything when they're hitting you. Anti-Mage himself, you still feel that, but a lot of AM's identity has always been around like split push into like fast tempo hyper carry style gameplay and also countering mages. No shit, right? Well, he doesn't counter mages anymore, and a lot of the heroes that he traditionally like shits on, think Skywrath Mage, Storm Spirit, Medusa, he can't do it. Like his whole shtick is doing awful, disgusting basement dweller things to those characters, and he can't do them. And if that's the case, why would you pick Anti-Mage? Nyx Assassin is right there. Like Nyx is like low-key a better Anti-Mage this patch, which is a disgusting sentence that no one has ever said before, but I'm saying it because it's true. Anti-Mage is dumpy. His win rate backs this up, by the way. I should probably mention those. He's got a 47.8% win rate on D2PT. That's ass. You should not play him. But if you're a super AM hyper specialist and there is like Medusa, Skywrath, Storm on the enemy team, I guess you can try. I'm not responsible for what happens next. Beast Mass Friend. Beast Friend. The fall off was kind of crazy with him. He's sort of like just like disappeared. I've seen him a couple times. I still think, like, I put him in not for pubs in the previous tier list. I think it's the same here. The idea with him is you go early Aghanim Scepter, and then you're able to just Death Ball. And this patch is very much so, like, Death Ball dependent. I've seen a lot of teams start grouping up at, like, literally 7 minutes. Like, 4-man rotations to secure Wisdom Rune, take offlane tower, and then just run away with the game. Beastmaster can do that. But if you're not dedicated to that like stupid aggro like Ooga Booga run at them playstyle, there's not really any reason to pick him. And then if you're behind his Beastmaster, it's like, oh my god, you lose. You just instantly lose. There's not much to do. Because if you're playing against like I don't know, like Axe Crystal Maiden, like a 4 Crystal Maiden who can just burn all your boars and you get behind, it's like you can't play the game anymore. So there's no point. So he's not for pubs. You need a very dedicated strat in order to make carry Beastmaster work. He's nowhere near as good as he was in the previous patch. And thank goodness, this shit is ass to play against. Bloodseeker, who I think is going to be our first exquisite hero. Beastmaster is a 48% win rate when played as a carry, by the way. A little bit lower, actually. Bloodseeker. He is very good. The change that they made to his shard, I think, is doing a lot of heavy lifting for him right now. Because a lot of the really popular offlaners are like big-time man fighters. Like Night Stalker comes to mind. He is able to just like stand 10 to, I guess, what does he have? Hooves? I think he has paws. He can stand 8 claws down and just immediately man fight them with absolutely no fear, and he's very good. And he plays pretty well into like a lot of the offlane options, and he's just like safe. Because a lot of Bloodseeker's power right now is divided between multiple of his traits. Rupture is very good, also very good against Night Stalker and other heroes that like to be mobile. Sorry, Pangolier. I've ruptured a lot of Pangos this patch, and I feel bad for them every time, but I'm not going to stop. You have Rupture, and that's a good source of his power. You have his movement speed, which is a good source of his power that counters a lot of things. And then you also have the absurd attack speed, which counters a lot of things. So those are 3 traits that combine together to make Bloodseeker extremely consistent. And if you're not playing against like an AA or something like that, I think he's one of the better carries in the entire game. Part of me wants to put him in a Mars scam, actually, because I think he is that good. Plus, you can pick between multiple different farming items. Some games it's Mjolnir, some games it's Radiance. I think Rad is better, it's just higher GPMs. But some games you want the composite damage, and you don't necessarily want to go MKB on this hero. You really do need stats. So he's going to go in Exquisite. We're skipping Bristleback because Ame is not here. And I don't know if he speaks English or not, but even if he did, he ain't watching this shit. CK is dumpy. He is bad. You're starting to see this hero become a bit of a greedier pause 3 now. And I think that that is also shit. But CK and his evolution throughout the patch, in the previous incarnation of Dota, I actually thought that he was a pretty solid carry. Like, kind of not quite sneak broken, but definitely overlooked. In the current meta, you shouldn't be picking him in any position. He's just not good. As an offlaner, he makes a little bit more sense if you can set him up in like a really nice kill lane. But as a carry, even if you're doing kill lane stuff, you have better position ones to pick. His win rate is quite low right now, 48.4%, which is bad. That's enough to put him down here in Dumpy. Don't pick CK as a position 1. You can pick him as a plus 3 if you want, but you better have a plan, and you better be queuing with your friend who gets to pick Witch Doctor. Otherwise, get out of here, dude. Clinks, who was an MMR scam last time, baby, he's an MMR scam again. And what's crazy about it is you just do the same shit. I don't know what it is about the rework that they did to him in 7.40, but Clinks is like kind of unnerfable. They've done a lot of things to him. They've massively reduced the impact of the boner boys that you summon. They don't do nearly as much damage as they used to, and they don't get nearly as much attack speed from Strafe as they used to anymore. The multiplier got reduced even further. And yet, somehow, he is still completely broken. They really like him in the pro scene. He's getting banned a lot. I think at PGL Wallachia 8, he was like one of the more contested characters as well. His ability to just hit the fuck out of towers is like insane. Even after the nerfs, even after everything they did to the skeleton archers, the current incarnation of Clinks is just unnerfable, and he's extremely good. You still kind of do the same thing that you do before, where you save up for Aghanim Shard at 15 minutes, and then you go for Desolator, Dragonlance, and then I think people go BKB more often now than they did in the previous patch. But yeah, he's a very, very strong character, and I'm going to put him up in MMR Scam. 2 patches in a row. Valve, please do something. Rework immediately. Again. Drow Ranger, who, in the 7.41 patch notes reviews that I've done, I said, wow, she's dead. Turns out she's not. She's going to go up in Exquisite. She's also a very good, very safe pick. 53.1% win rate on D2PT right now. Crazy high for Drow. She usually doesn't get that high. And to be honest, I couldn't exactly tell you why. I think it's a result of just having, similar to Bloodseeker, she's just strong in multiple ways. Her scaling is extremely good. She's able to make a lot out of a very small period of the map. Like, you don't need a ton of map control for Drow because you're able to farm, like, fast enough and safely enough because of multi-shot and being able to, like, farm creep waves from the trees where you don't show up in the minimap. There's a lot to like from that. And then also, a lot of the other carries right now are agility carries. So being able to just pierce through all of that base armor, you know, you can have 10,000 less net worth and you still beat the shit out of them. And the weirdest part to me is that you don't even go the new item that everyone hyped up on Drow. Like, you don't go Hydra's Breath on this character. I mean, you can, but if you're doing it, you're not doing it as a farming item because you need to go Hurricane Pike. The way that I've been playing her and the way that I see a lot is you go, like, Power Treads, Falcon Blade, Yasha, Dragonlance, and then you go, like, Manta or Hurricane Pike. It gets variable from there depending on what you need. And then you're able to show up and fight with those 2 items. And then from there, you know, BKB, Satanic, Butterfly, you have a bunch of different options you can go. I'm a big fan of the early Satanic on Drow, though I get flamed all the time in pubs for it. I don't know why. It's very good. But yeah, aside from a couple of key counterpicks, including Brewmaster and Spirit Breaker and a few others, Drow is extremely good. And if those characters are in the game, you can go Bloodseeker instead and counter the rest of them. Well, not Brewmaster. That guy's just going to be a motherfucking problem forever, but hey, what can you do? Faceless Void. I've had a couple of really wacky Faceless Void games. I think necessary scenarios for him. His win rate is okay. It's currently at 51.8%, which is kind of high, but I think the reason it's that high is because of combos. If you don't have any really obvious combos for Faceless Void, and your plan is to just plant the bubble and then beat the shit out of someone, you're going to lose the game. This hero does not do as much damage as he should. I don't know what they did. I don't know if it's maybe like an item build thing, but if you go the stereotypical Mjolnir, Mask of Madness, BKB, Scotty Refresher type deal, you just don't do enough damage. Like, if you go up against a Drow Ranger, you can't actually kill her because she has too much armor, like, even if you're close. There's a lot of characters, and I think this is kind of a byproduct of Position 1's having so much armor because a lot of them are agility characters. He just can't kill other Position 1s in Chrono. So what you need is you need combos, and there's plenty of those, right? Invoker is the obvious one, but there's a bunch of other ones that you can do with a bunch of different heroes. And if you have those combos, like a Witch Doctor or a Lich or something, Chrono is quite good. But this particular patch, I think Void is like more of a Chrono bot than he is an actual true position 1. So if you have the combos on your team, he's a solid pickup and you should play him. But if you don't, and your only goal is to Chrono so you can kill people, you shouldn't be doing this. Just pick position 1 Doom, who is also not on this list, but I've seen it. I haven't lost to that one yet. Speaking of shit that I've never lost to, Gyrocopter is like probably the worst carry of the patch. I do not understand why Valve chose to just beat him into a pulp in 7.41. Because in 7.40, he was like playable, but he wasn't good. And then Valve nerfed the shit out of Flat Cannon. So now the cooldown is crazy high. And that's an item that, like, or an ability rather, the existence of Position 1 Gyrocopter is entirely revolving around how good Flat Cannon is. When it's a good ability, he is a good hero. When it's a bad ability, he's a bad hero. And right now, he's shit. What Valve decided to do was try to give him... They gave him the facet that, like, is bad. Like, they gave him that whenever you deal damage... It used to be only with Rocket Barrage. Now, whenever you deal any kind of damage, you get bonus movement speed. But the thing about that is that it's completely fucking useless, because Gyrocopter's strength is his insane target acquisition range with Flat Cannon. That means you don't have to move. That's like a big part of the appeal of this character, is like you get to just like sit there and right-click everyone without having to mind your positioning so much. But now they've given him a really powerful tool for fixing his positioning, but it doesn't matter because he's Gyrocopter. It's like they forgot what his hero did. Like it blows my mind how ass he is. But yeah, unplayable. 44% win rate. Valve, please do something. Oh my god. Juggernaut is, like, fine. It's the same as it ever was, man. You just go Battle Fury into Yasha item, into Ags, and then maybe a Blink Dagger, depending on the matchup, into Butterfly. He's boring. But he does have an okay win rate. He's like 51%, which is not enough, in my opinion, to put him in Exquisite. But if you have that kind of win rate, your necessary scenarios are not for pubs. The thing is, there needs to be a lack of scenario for Juggernaut. There needs to be a situation where no other carry makes sense, where no carry makes sense, except for Jugger, and then you can pick him. But, like, until that day comes, you should be picking literally any of these heroes instead. You need a situation where Alk and Void, where like, your team has no good Ags, you have no good Chrono combos, Drow is easily countered by Gap Close, they have an Ancient Apparition to deal with Bloodseeker, and then also Clinks is banned. Along with all of the other heroes that are going into these tiers. I don't understand why you would pick Jug, but you can if you want. He has a 51% win rate. You can play him. If you're panicking or you're trying to farm roll queue tokens and you don't know who to pick, you can pick Jug and it's fine. Kez. Oh, man. So his win rate is actually like shit. He has like a 47.7% win rate, but I don't think he's dumpy. I just think he's not for pubs. People are still figuring out Kez. It cracked me up because when Kez first came out, the gut reaction from everyone was like, oh, he's the melee invoker. In 5 years, people will have him figured out. And then everyone else was like, he's not that bad. Just buy 2 Falcon Blades and like stay in Katana form for 90% of the game. And everyone was like, okay. And then Valve reworked him again and then again because he's gone through multiple reworks. And now no one really knows what to do with him. Except for like 8 dudes. Like, the 8 dudes who know how to play Kez in the particular MMR range that D2PT picks up are carrying his win rate so hard. You know, he's definitely a carry. I don't think you play him as a mid. It seems like pro players are mostly in agreement with me. The vast majority of Kez play has been as a carry, which I think is correct. But the actual goals of what to do are super scattered. And I think if you are a dedicated Kez player, you can play him in pubs. But for the most part, I think we just have to let the pros have him for a while. Give him another like 6 months and another rework from Valve, and then maybe we can cook. But until then, you probably shouldn't be picking Kez as your default pick. The builds that I'm seeing, by the way, mostly Battle Fury into like Desolator Basher, but I've also seen Battle Fury skip for Diffusal instead, which I don't know if that's good or not, but I know that it works in the Shoto form where you have the higher attack speed, which is cool. Lifestealer. Oh my god, dude. This hero... Okay, so the win rate is like... I want to put him in MMR Scam. The win rate doesn't paint him that way. But, like, he is, dude. Like, trust. He's extremely good. He is the strictly better Juggernaut this patch. A lot of the offlaners, I just talked about how one of the big advantages of Bloodseeker is that his shard allows you to stand on business and box with a lot of the offlaners that want to go on you. Not only does Lifestealer have that ability, but he does it better than him, and he has a built-in BKB. So a lot of offlaners and mids can't even deal with you now. He's very, very good. What they need to do with Lifestealer, and it feels silly to like be suggesting nerfs for this guy, but like they need to increase the cooldown of his Ags. Because once you get Ags, it's impossible to kill this guy. He gets inside you for 5 seconds. He regens 80% of his max HP, which means he's at full because he's Lifestealer. Not to mention he's healing off of the feast procs as he's beating your ass from within your ass. It's absurd. It's impossible to kill him with that kind of cooldown. Now, the way that you play Lifestealer this patch is very simple and straightforward. You go for a Radiance. I think you don't really have the ability to go for a Mjolnir. Like, you can if you really freaking want. Like, against PL, I guess. But for the most part, you just go for a Radiance, and then you go a Yasha item, usually Sanj and Yasha, even though they nerf Sanj, and Manta if you absolutely need, and then you go right into an Aghanim Scepter. And then you can go Basher, Disassemble, build Abyssal Blade if you need, and then just build whatever you want. What's funny with this hero, and actually this is true for Bloodseeker too, is that you oftentimes wind up with a Yasha you don't want. Like, you just have a Yasha after disassembling Abyssal Blade. My solution on Bloodseeker is to sell it and buy a Butterfly. My solution on Lifestealer is to buy a Kaya. I've gone Yasha Kaya on this hero a lot, and it's not bad, because like mana is actually a problem for you. You have to go Magic Wand on this hero, even if it's a bad Magic Wand lane, just so you have mana to use Infest multiple times in a fight later on once you get Eggs. And you might as well pick it up for the lane, because it's good stats. He's a very interesting hero this patch, and a very, very strong one, to the point where I almost want to put him in MMR Scam. But if you're up against like support A and support B and you have no idea who to pick, just pick Lifestealer, man. Very, very good hero. Only downside is Slardar is starting to get a little bit more popular, and that hero kind of shits on you in lane. But other than that, you're fine. Just don't play against Slardar, forehead. LD, MMR Scam. Holy fuck. If you have figured out how to beat LD in current patch, like, please hit me up. I have my email written in the end of my other videos and also in my YouTube bio or whatever. Please email me how to beat LD. Dude, I don't know how to do it. For a long time, I thought, like, oh, I'll just pick Lifestealer and then I'll just hit the bear. But no, the bear is hasted all the time. And also when you kill the bear, you get like 280 gold. Who was it? Was it Quinn who was talking about how, like, if the bear's a hero, it needs a hero bounty? 100% true. You know, and the problem I have with that idea, first off, it should give you like 1,000 gold when you kill it in the late game. But the real problem I have with that idea is that if you give it a hero bounty, they're not going to nerf all the other shit about it. And the other shit is where it's actually a problem. The problem with LD is not that the bear doesn't give you enough money when you kill it. The problem with LD is you kill the bear, he's back 5 seconds later, and he's hitting your tier 3s. And there's nothing you could do about it because he's got the Aghanim Scepter upgrade. Meanwhile, you know, a lot of people have brought up like, oh, the map is so big that LD can just sit in the money tunnel or like farm the struggle camps while the bear actually goes out and plays the game. And that is a huge problem. Don't get it twisted. But like the amount of damage it does to buildings, the complete risk-free siege, the rat, its stat gain is monstrous. I recently talked about how Centaur Warrunner had the second highest stat gain in the game. A lot of the comments on that video were like, actually, no. Lone Druid Spirit Bear has higher strength gain. It's tied with Primal Beast for the most. Which is, like, stop. Oh my god. Yeah, hasted 1v1's your carry, BKB piercing root that cannot be dispelled. That's the other thing, is you need to be able to dispel Entangle. The fact that you can't dispel it, and then it also pierces BKB is, like, fucked up. And I say that as a guy who plays Troll Warlord. LD is completely broken, and you should be playing him. There's a bunch of different builds you can go. I think that the Diffusal first is probably the best. I've also seen Maelstrom, but I think going Diffusal hurts the enemy team in addition to helping you, and I think that that's more beneficial. Because a lot of heroes just can't run from the bear. You know, you Diffusal them and they just die. There's nothing that they can do. And even if they can kind of run away, that's why God gave you Entangle. Ugh. It's a disgusting hero right now. Very good as a mid as well, but I think as a carry, he's maybe a little bit better. I'm not 100% sure, though. Pros are playing him both ways. MMR Scam. MMR Scam. Play LD. I thought about making an MMR Scam video about him, but I'm sure he's going to get nerfed into the fucking ground any second now. Like, emergency patch tier broken. MMR Scam Lone Druid. Luna. I've actually been having a lot of success with her this patch. Her win rate is, like, as close to 50% as it can possibly go, but, like, I actually think she's really good. I'm going to put her in exquisite. And the reason I'm going to do so is because Luna is like first pickable in her like can do anythingness. I talked earlier about how Lifestealer is a strictly better jug. I kind of think Luna is also a strictly better jug in the sense that you can pick her into whatever. The real reason that Luna is so good right now is because I mentioned earlier how a lot of teams are grouping up to Death Ball at like minute 7. One of the weaknesses of this strategy is that you're leaving the carry alone to fend for themselves at 7 minutes, which is not super beneficial. Luna is one of a very small handful of carries that can actually get away with that. You go like Wraithband, Magic Wand, save up for Morbid Mask in anticipation of the Death Ball, and then you can jungle very effectively from very early on in the game. Oftentimes, you're like skipping points and Lucent Beam just to get them in your E. And her W is extremely underrated as well. I'm hot taking this a little bit because the stats say that I'm wrong and she should be in necessary scenarios, but like, no. I genuinely think Luna is really good. And I think the more people play her this patch, especially with that new shard, ooh, baby. The Luna shard is 30% damage reduction, 20% movement speed, shitload of physical damage happening around you at all times in a bunch of different instances, and I'm pretty sure it bypasses damage block for some reason. Like it's not enough to completely deal with Tide, but like quite notable is the fact that it like doesn't work right. But yeah, Luna is very, very good this patch. And if you're struggling to find like a position 1 that you can lane with when your position 5 is like a roll Q token farming moron, pick Luna and just buy a Morbid Mask as soon as you can. Exquisite for her. It's my hot take here. Ducey. Ducey is like she is actually quite similar to Luna in many ways, which makes sense because Luna is actually like oftentimes referred to as the budget Medusa. I think Medusa is actually quite playable this patch, but you need the right game. Her D2PT numbers are quite low, well, reasonably low. She's at 49.5%, which isn't great, but I still think that she's playable in environments where Medusa would be good. You know, you need last pick, 100%. If you're second picking this hero, you're fucked because you lose to a lot of other carries. LD smokes you, Bloodseeker smokes you, Drow is a total pain in the ass. But like you beat, I think Kez actually is also good against you, especially if he goes for that diffusal instead of the Battle Fury thing that I mentioned. But if you're up against like Lifestealer, she's great. Pretty good against Faceless Void too, in my personal opinion. Agslave Alk, it's a little tough because the Death Ball is going to be so strong. But she matches up pretty well into a lot of other position 1s. The big thing is that you just need last pick and no obvious counters. You know, if you're up against like PL, actually, because we're going to talk about PL later, Medusa is actually really strong against PL. The thing that I've talked about before, going Mjolnir directly into an Aghanim Scepter, she actually shits on PL really hard. I highly recommend it if you haven't tried that yet. Plus, he doesn't get the Diffusal her anymore. So yeah, necessary scenarios for Medusa. Her win rate is low, but if you're in a good game for it with no counters and you get last pick, she can sometimes feel just like a free win right out the gate. Meeps. Meeps is like not great. Ever since they did the Conraps situation, I think that he's pretty bad. He actually has a slightly higher win rate than Medusa at 49.6, but I'm putting him in Dumpy because of a very important reason. You can pick Medusa without being any kind of hero specialist. If you're picking Meepo in the current patch, it's because you're very good at Meepo, and they're still losing. A lot of counters to him. The Conraps changed, like they haven't quite gotten it out of their heads yet, because I still see Meepos picking up Conraps. I have not seen this hero be very successful as a mid or a carry, but I would argue that he's not necessarily a carry at all. I'd argue that he's more of a mid. His games are pretty evenly split. So he's also one of the very few heroes with a higher win rate on Dire. Couldn't tell you why. Not a lot of heroes like that in the game right now because Radiant Advantage is getting worse over the years and no one knows how to fix it. Dumpy for Meepo. Monkey King, also pretty bad. I've seen this hero have a lot of success as a mid, going into certain melee matchups where he gets to counterpick them, like Spirits, for example. Not even necessarily melee, but like Storm Spirit. But at the same time, as a position 1, you're putting a lot of eggs in a very fragile basket. Monkey King is just not tanky at all. And yes, he is lifesteal tanky. You get your Jingu stacks and you smack the hammer down in your full HP, and that's great. But you can't rely on that every single fight. And if you're playing a character with like a lot of defensive tools built in and you're not tanky enough to take advantage of them all the time, you're not going to have fun. He can feel like a bit of a win more character. I do think if your team gets ahead enough compared to the opponent's team, you can use your ultimate as a really good way to secure objectives, like Roshan is the obvious one, but also like tier 3s. You can just drop it on a tier 2, and now your team can hit it and they can't deal with you. But if you're the one getting initiated on and you don't have that preemptive defense of Jingu Mastery or all of your bullshit, you have a terrible time. And a lot of these characters up here can actually just man fight you. Like LD is obvious, Clinks, Lifestealer, Drow, Bloodseeker. I mean, a good chunk of those heroes can literally sit in your ulti and just fucking wail on you, and there's not much you can do about it. There's actually a lot you can do, because you can Mischief, and then you can also use Wukong's command, like the Soldier Switch thing that they gave to him for free. You have options, but the inability to man fight other position ones is a major problem for him. So he's going to go down here in Dumpy. Plus, you get preyed on by a couple of offlaners. Morph. Is he sparkling garbage? He is not good, man. He's not sparkling garbage. He's going to go in Dumpy. There's no reason to pick him right now. If you want a ranged character who can do well in the lane and like bully melee offlaners with no clear gap close, you have Drow Ranger or Luna for that matter. If you want someone who scales super well into the late game, you have LD, you have Lifestealer, you have Bloodseeker, you have Clinks. Any way that Morphling can be good, there's another carry that does it better than him. And Gyro is bad. Gyro's in sparkling garbage. The best matchup for Morphling in the entire game is Gyrocopter, because you get to use Flat Cannon, but Flat Cannon is shit, so no one's picking Gyro, therefore you shouldn't pick Morphling. It's like what's like the opposite of a symbiotic relationship, where like both people hate each other and no one benefits at all. That's what's going on between Morphling and Gyrocopter. Me and my ex-wife, am I right, fellas? Muerta, sparkling garbage. You know, this character has a time and a place, but the time is not now and the place is not safe lane. Muerta with Aghanim Scepter can actually be a very, very high impact position 4, and I've seen a lot of good things from her, actually. I've seen success. It's an insane Ags upgrade, and she benefits a lot from the Ag Slave Alch meta, but it is, as a position 1, absolutely not. The Ags does nothing for you. Even with the change they recently made so that Satanic works on you, which, thank God. I wonder if Valve does not watch my videos, I'm pretty sure. But the idea that my complaint immediately made it into the game makes me feel good. Thank you very much to Valve for making it so that Satanic works on this hero. But even so, it's not enough. She's just not good enough of a carry. She doesn't farm fast enough. She scales like a motherfucker, though. Like, if you give Muerta the same space that you would give to a Medusa, she will blow you up faster than Medusa will blow you up. But she'll only blow you up. The rest of your team is fine. So yeah. Muerta not really having the strongest multi-target damage for the amount of farm that you have to pour into her in order to make her good. It's tough, but she's still fun to play in Turbo, and that's the only compliment that I can give her. And her Ags is cool, I guess. Naga Siren, not good. Not good. Not really an Illu carry patch at the moment. Not a whole lot that I would recommend, unless you consider Lone Druid to be an illusion character, because the bear is a different guy. Naga, there's not much to say. Of all the characters, her problem is like, there's two ways you can go, Western Man. The first is you go for a Radiance, and you try to do the classic, like, choke him out of the map, consume as much as you possibly can, and you would think that the large map and prevalence of farm would be great for Naga Siren for that, and the ability for her to just mind her own business while the rest of the team's deathball. She does farm faster than the majority of other position 1s if you go for a Radiance, but other position 1s have more immediate impact and ways to, like, counter Naga Siren. So Drow is like, She gets to pierce your evasion with marksmanship. Bloodseeker doesn't mind the illusions because of W and the spell amp off of both Mjolnir and Radiance, and her impact just isn't high enough, you know? And she has a really vulnerable lane. There's really nothing going for her right now in this current patch, and I'm very sorry for the Naga enthusiasts out there. She's not even really good as a support, which is a damn shame. She should be good at least one of them. Bro, let Naga be a pause 1, or let her be a pause 5. Right now, she's neither, so very dumpy hero. But her win rate is not complete sparkling garbage. There are purists who are playing her, and they're getting a 47% win rate, though. So she's freaking close, dude. But she's going to avoid the title of sparkling garbage for now. For now. You know who's not going to avoid that is Nature's Prophet. Holy shit, boys. We're so back. 39.1% win rate. Oh, and it feels good. It feels good, man. Nature's Prophet, for a long time, was complete dogshit unplayable, and then Valve started messing around with Sprout and turning it into a magical nuke and doing all sorts of weird scaling things to it. And for like 3 years, he was amazing. He was a great hero. 2.5 maybe. Prevalent in pro scenes, always going to be popular in low-level pubs. A very funny hero to watch, very high impact, has been strong historically for a variety of different reasons. Now he is shit. He is so bad, and I don't even know why. But he has a 39.1% win rate. Disgusting. Disgusting. Related to this, one of the things that I say a lot, not always on this, well, I say it outside of this channel too. I exist even when I'm not talking to you through YouTube. It's strange, I know, but true. One of the things I say a lot is that 40% of your games you win as soon as you hit accept, 40% you lose as soon as you hit accept, and then 20% you get to decide if you win or lose. That is a common saying. A lot of people say that, but the thing that is interesting to me is that the numbers change. So for some people, it's 45 you win, 45 you lose. For some people, it's like 49, which is kind of ridiculous. I've always said that it's 40, 40, 20, where 20% you decide whether or not you win the game. The reason I always say 20% is because if you look at the absolute most dogshit heroes in the game, they'll have a 40% win rate. And if you look at the absolute most broken heroes in the game, they have a 60% win rate. And that means that if a hero is truly, truly broken, like Meepo was in the start of 7.41, every single game that they could win, they do. And if a hero is complete dog shit, like Nature's Prophet is right now, with a 39.1, but like roughly 40%, they lose every game that they aren't winning as a result of hitting the accept button. Those are the range of acceptable win rates. Not even acceptable, really, but those are the range of win rates for heroes in Dota. That's why I always say it's 20%, because hero win rates are always in that 20% range. There you go. Thank you, Nature's Prophet. It's the most useful thing you've ever done, is making me monologue about numbers no one asked about. Pantom Assassin. I was going to do a bit there, and then I chickened out at the last minute. She is probably also sparkling garbage. There is no reason to pick her, man. Another sort of victim of the Agi carry meta. Look at all these heroes up here. Who does she burst? You might say Bloodseeker. No. She needs an MKB because he's going Radiance, and the consistent magic and pure damage means that she's not having very much fun. Hard time building BK or MKB, but who cares? She can't even burst Luna because of the W now, giving innate damage resistance even before you go shard. She's awful. She no reason to pick her. She loses in pretty much every 1v1 matchup with other carries. And the big thing about PA is like, yeah, you can prey on supports the same as every other carry, but one of the defining traits of her is that she's able to go in and burst the other position one, right? And that's a hard thing to do. Right now, the numbers are just not in her favor, and combine that with the ridiculous armor numbers that you get on all of the heroes above her, and no, you're not bursting anyone. The only one you can really burst is probably Alchemist, because he doesn't have any armor. He's buying Aghanim Scepter for everyone else on his team, and that is not enough. She is sparkling garbage. She has a win rate of 47.5%, but she's actually trash. If you want a player, you can do just the traditional thing where you go Battle Fury into... You can't do the Sanjin Yasha build anymore because they took away Methodical, which was the only reason to pick her in the previous patch. But you do that, Desolator, BKB, Basher, Satan, just like normal PA things. And it's like, whatever. PL. Pretty great. He's going to go an Exquisite. He's not quite as good as he was at the start of the patch. People have gotten better at counterplay to him, but he's still very good. And people are starting to realize that, like, eschewing Scotty in favor of going Bloodthorn very quickly wins games. And oh boy, does it win it fast. On D2PT, he has a 51.8% win rate, which is a little bit low to be put in Exquisite tier. But the thing about it is, like, PL is a very obvious hero to counter, and people are getting pretty good at counterplaying him. So even with a lot working against him and an insane pick rate by now, he's a very popular hero in high-ranked matchmaking. I'm contributing to that, for sure. But yeah, people have just realized that if you go Bloodthorn on this hero, you go like, you skip the Phylactery now, unless you're up against a Tidehunter, and maybe a Razor, even though people don't pick that hero because he's garbage. You go Conda if you absolutely need it, but usually you just go straight into Manta, Aghanim Scepter, and then you go Bloodthorn. And with those three items, you can kill almost anyone. And you can kill a lot of the characters that, like, naturally counter you. Like Pudge, for example. You obliterate Pudge. You blow him the hell up. Because the damage block is one thing, but just that sheer quantity of magical damage combined with the pop at the end, plus he's silenced. If he's rotting, it deals with your Illus, but he's also rotting himself to death. it allows him to counter a lot of the characters that would usually counter him, and that's a very powerful thing for a position 1 to do. Exquisite for PL, exquisite. Richard. Richard is, like, bad. Well, he's a better mid than he is a carry, but I think as he was in the previous tier list, I think he's not for pubs. He's having a bit of an identity crisis right now, and I don't think Valve entirely knows what they want Ricky to be. Thank goodness they don't want him to be a position 4, bro. Please do not bring back sleep dart or whatever it was called. Holy shit, the tranquilizer put me in a trance for the rest of the game. Yeah, Ricky, I think right now is like a bit like Beastmaster, strangely enough, in that you kind of want him for a Deathball comp. You do not go the Battle Fury stuff on Ricky anymore. You go for Diffusal Blade first item, and you play him a bit like a Slark, who we'll be talking about momentarily. But if you're going to be doing that playstyle, you may as well pick Slark, because he's a better hero. But we can talk about that soon. In the meantime, we got to talk about Shadow Fiend. This hero is not good. But he's not bad either. He's rocking a 49.5% win rate, which is fine. That's specifically when he's being played as a carry, but I think that's actually better than as a mid right now. The magic build is not necessarily it. I'm not 100% sure where to put him, but I think I'm going to put him in necessary scenarios. He's an interesting component of a grinder lane, and if you're up against a bunch of strength heroes where the anti-armor really matters, he can be quite good. But he's similar to Monkey King, very much so like a win more hero. The difference is that you're ranged. You're ranged and you have crazy lane kill pressure. That's the real thing. If you're in a grinder lane and you can pair up with like a Crystal Maiden or a Shadow Shaman or a Lion or another position 5 who can kill that is popular this patch, like any of those 3 or more, he's actually a pretty decent pick, I think. But unless you're in that specific situation, he's not great, and then you've lost a lot of the like versatility of Shadow Fiend in the previous patch, where you could go mid safe, and then you could go magic or physical if you were mid, and then if you were safe lane, you went physical. Now you're just going safe lane physical. So you went from 3 versions of the hero out of a possible 4 to 1 being valid, which is not great. So he's going to go in necessary scenarios. You can play him if you really, really want, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend him over a lot of these other options. Slark. This is a capital H hero. He is very good. If you want to have one of those carries who doesn't go a farming item and just like bodies up with the team and tries to run him down, Slark is an amazing pick for this. The big reason why is because, like Ricky, for example, he doesn't scale nearly as well. Beastmaster, he's a specialist hero who doesn't come with a backup plan. He also doesn't scale nearly as well, though he does scale probably better than Ricky. If you need a Deathball carry, you go for Slark. He is so good at showing up with, like, I've seen Diffusal first, I've seen Orchid Rush against certain, like, caster lineups. I've also seen Mage Slayer for similar situations. There's a lot of different first items that you can go, and all you need, you go like Wraithband, that item, Wand, Treads, and you can show up and take names as Slark right now. You know, he's not very suited to my playstyle. I tend to not be like a super aggressive tempo carry player. But I will tell you this, Slark is like one of the scariest heroes to see on the enemy team right now. The one flaw that kind of holds him back from being an MMR scam, because I do think he is that good, is that there are other carries in the pool that kind of shade on him. So like LD is an obvious one. The bear really poops on him, and also you can make him run out of his own shard with the roar. Bloodseeker is very good because of Rupture being undispellable, and also you're allowed to see him when he's low. Really irritates him when he's trying to struggle jungle after he loses the lane, which isn't always, but happens. And then Clinks is like, you can't kill Clinks. He just turns on you, and then by the time the leash is over, he's still half HP and is able to walk away just fine. So he loses in a couple of the 1v1 matchups against other carries, if all things are equal. But if you're able to get the death ball going as Slark, good lord, it is hard to stop. It's like the opposite of Sisyphus, bro. Sniper. I think you kind of need to do the opposite of the death ball thing with Sniper. 4 Protect 1 is like a bit of a dead strat these days, you know? And it's not that you can't get the essence of 4 Protect 1, it's that the 4 are not protecting the 1. They are attacking the 5. And then the 1 is just off by himself doing his best. That's sort of like the Gen Z version of 4 Protect 1. With Sniper, you need to be your team's primary damage output, and they need to have defensive tools for you. 100%. I really didn't like Valve giving him the shard with concussive grenade and giving him access to like a hurricane pike for 1400 gold that also disarms and also relocates multiple enemy heroes. But what I've come to realize is that like it's not enough actually. That plus hurricane pike plus he is one of the very few characters who is able to go Hydra's breath, who can go specialist array as a farming item. And if you're doing that, there's a massive opportunity cost because you're giving up on hurricane pike. Part of me really wants them to change the build-up, by the way, because not being able to go Hurricane Pike plus Dragon's Breath is a total pain in the ass. But yeah, Sniper once again falls prey to a couple of the really high espoused carries. Clink's, Lone Druid, even Bloodseeker is pretty good, but he shits on Drow. He's okay against Lifestealer, great against Luna. PL is a little scary once he gets that Bloodthorn. No one likes to buy BKB on Sniper, but you kind of got to do's it. And he doesn't have a great Ags upgrade, which is fine. If you're playing as position 1 Sniper, you don't have a position 1 Alk. And if you're going Ag Slave position 3 Alk, you're going to lose the game. So yeah, he's solid, but you need the right team comp, you need defensive abilities, and your team needs to rely on you as the primary damage dealer from the jump. If all of those things are true, he's actually a great character. But unless all 3 of those things are true, it's really sus. And then if you're behind and not fun. The way that you build him these days, by the way, is you go Power Treads, Double Wraithband, Maelstrom. Probably pick up Infused Raindrops because you're built like a Lego tower about to be kicked over by an angry toddler. And then you have a bunch of different options you can go. I think it's like Mjolnir, Hurricane Pike, Shard, BKB, I think. If you're going to go the Hydra's Breath, you actually just like wait and buy it all at once later on. If you don't get it very early, which is kind of weird. But hey, necessary scenarios for Sniper. Spectre is a very good pick. She has a bit of a weird win rate range. If you don't know, Dota 2 Pro Tracker includes the general win rate for a character in a position as well as the win rate of their most popular build. Spectre has one of the biggest divides in this because her general win rate is 50.7%, which is good, and then her most popular build win rate is 54.8. Now, her most popular build is going for a Radiance into a Manta style and then just building normal Spectre items, nothing unusual. Which makes me wonder, what the fuck are the other guys doing? What are they up to? I can tell you right now, what they're doing is they're going Phylactery. They're going Phylactery and trying to do like a Haunt pick-off build. But I think people have to slowly relearn how to play Spectre with Radiance. Because I think between Shadow Step being her ultimate for so long, and then it's Radiance still not being entirely the meta, it being Phylactery, and now we're going back to a Radiance level Spectre, people have forgotten that like Haunt is not a pick-off tool at all. Haunt is used as like a teamfight initiation, scouting information, annoy the fuck out of the supports tool. That is what the ability is for when you're going for a Radiance. You're not going in to try to pick someone off early in the fight. You want to let it simmer for a long time, and then when it's about to end, that's when you pick your target and go in, and then you pop Manta and do all your stuff. My experience with her has been very positive. I think she's a very good hero, and her win rate is good. Very good, in fact. Almost MMR scam worthy, but not quite there, I think because of the Phylactery build. Part of me honestly wants to put her up in MMR scam anyway, but we're not going to do it because Clinks and LD, me putting them up there, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, and good lord, I would love for those characters to eat shit. Spectre not so much though. I'm actually really enjoying her, and if you haven't played her this patch, I recommend giving her a try. She feels very good. Problem is the lane. If she gets bullied in the lane, it's very difficult. The slow crawl to Sacred Relic is very painful with her, but you do get to steal some kills with Haunt in the early game, where you are allowed to use it as a pick-off tool. But once you get that Radiance, use it properly, I'm telling you. Makes all the difference in the world, and D2PT agrees with me. 54.8% win rate if you're doing that build. Do it. Sven. He has a like solid 50% win rate, but the only real X factor for Sven is like you counter PL, which is cool, but and you kind of counter Clinks because you're able to give yourself and a bunch of other people bonus armor. But you fold to LD. There's a lot of other characters who farm just as fast and are higher impact, and while you do a shitload of damage, enough to kill people who are high armor, you'll run into a lot of like very obvious counterplay. And that can be difficult to deal with as a Sven. Revenant's Brooch is like, will get you flamed if you go that item, even if it's like genuinely pretty good on him. So we're going to put him in Dumpy. There's just a massive opportunity cost to picking him, and I can't understand the necessary scenarios or the not for pub status that Sven would enjoy otherwise. So it feels weird to put a hero with an arguably okay win rate in Dumpy, but like, trust me, he's not that great. I've seen very little of him also. TA is sparkling garbage. This hero sucks. This hero is bad because she falls off like a goddamn rock at 30 minutes. Even if you go for Meld, and even if you go the Desolator, and you have a Daedalus and everything else, it's so hard to continue killing people as TA. And being able to blow up one support is like not enough. I trashed Wind Ranger in the previous, and I will trash her again, most likely, because of the fact that she can really only kill one person and then immediately dies. Wind Ranger can at least get out alive. TA can't even do that. And the damage fall off is insane because any defensive item works against you. You can't go Nullifier. So now you're playing in like the field of reaction speeds and like hoping that the Witch Doctor is looking at the mini map is like not a viable solution. Like that is not how you win a game of Dota. Yeah, armor is way too easy to access and her numbers just aren't high enough. She does have a good landing phase, I'll give her that. And like a lot of threes really grimace to play against a TA. But on balance, no, I cannot abide. Don't pick TA. She's bad. Terrorblade. I think I put him in Sparkling Garbage in the previous patch carry tier list. Here he's like okay. I think he's not for pubs. You need a certain degree of coordination with him, and his farming speed is like not particularly fast this patch, even with Demon Zeal, which I know is starting to get a little bit more popular. But you're also spending 1400 gold on an item that doesn't help you when you're in Metamorphosis, which is not great. It really just helps you farm for Metamorphosis. And to be completely honest, you know, you what, 1400. Let's say the game goes on for 30 more minutes, 28 more minutes to make it easy. You need at least 50 additional GPM as a direct result of Demon Zeal in order to make up for that. And even then, that really only gets you back up to parity at 28 minutes after you buy it. Which if you do it at 58 minutes, that's what, 43 minutes deep into the game? It's not good, trust me. Yeah, it's Terrorblade, if you have a coordinated team where you're able to make enough space for him to farm and then only use Metamorphosis to show up and hit buildings, he's great. You know, and there's a lot of games in this patch where all you have to do as a carry is you need to show up and hit buildings. TB is great at doing that. But as far as the full Terrorblade experience goes, he's really not a great pick right now, and you need to have enough space in order for him to farm up like crazy, and there's other heroes that can do the same thing but better. Like PL makes better use of the space, and he goes Aghanim Scepter, which not only helps him farm, but also fight. Demon Zeal, you can't use it while you're in Metamorphosis. So once they make that change, which I think they will eventually, he's going to be a lot better. But for now, Terrorblade, you need some level of organization and planning and communication in order to make him work. Not for pubs. His win rate, by the way, is 50.4%. Tiny. Tiny is also not for pubs. If you've been watching any Pro Dota, you have been seeing carry Tiny's absolutely doo-doo on people, and he is good. Like, make no mistake, he is an excellent position 1 pick in organized Dota 2 environments. If you're in pubs, no. Toss is way too integral to him. In order to play him as a tempo carry, you need to have crazy toss plays. And in order to make crazy toss plays, you need teammates that you not only trust, but teammates that trust you and can react to every move that you make. If that's the case, crazy. Very, very good hero. Scales like crazy. The Aghanims is like a very fun X factor that he has that no other carry can have access to. He's very good at tanking other enemy position ones while probably killing them with a combination of composite damage. Lot to like about Tiny, but not in pub games. He's going to go here in not for pubs. Really fun to watch, though. It's always nice to see other people like get just like hit with the Schadenfreude beam and just instantly die to a Tiny combo combined with a couple of right clicks. Did you guys see this clip? I got sent this on Reddit of a Tiny who was hitting an Enchantress out of Silver Edge, and it took him like actually 5 seconds to wind that shit up. And then he crit her for like 4,000 damage, and she instantly died. And that was funny. And it was a Silver Edge, so, you know, it broke her too. So even in hell, she is not untouchable. Troll Warlord. Pretty dumpy hero. 49% win rate right now, which isn't completely abysmal. But again, I can't think of any situation where you pick him over the carries that are actually good. You know, you have a decent pool to pick from here, and there's a couple more heroes that are going to be in the exquisite tier, / necessary scenarios, / not for pubs. Troll Warlord right now, there is no X factor for him. A lot of the characters that really counter him are not that good right now, which is kind of nice. You don't see a lot of Abaddon. Tidehunter is like still in the meta for sure, but like not nearly as much as he was before. Razor is out. That hero is unplayable garbage, but still, he's very easy to counter, and he kind of falls prey to the same TA thing. The only difference is that, like, yes, every single defensive item works against him, and you can go Nullifier, but you're not a Radiant Spire, which makes it a little complicated. And your Aghanim Scepter doesn't work against Force Staff, friendly reminder, nor does it work on Yule Scepter anymore, which is a rude reminder. It's brutal that Valve made that change. So his Ags is nowhere near as good at dealing with those kinds of things, and it's hard to go Nullifier, and you get countered by a lot of different things. It's tough. It's tough. Plus, like the LD Bear, I guess you guys can take turns BKB piercing, rooting each other back and forth forever if you'd like. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to do. Plus, you're bad against Bloodseeker, you're bad against Lifestealer. You're okay against Luna, ass against PL, not great against Slark, decent against Spectre. I'll say that. You're also kind of good against Clinks, too, because if you're able to continually root him, he can't go invisible, which is nice. But yeah, dumpy for Troll. Not a whole lot to enjoy there. Ursa, also dumpy. Not good, not good. If you want to play a carry whose primary objective is like jumping in and immediately murdering someone, you have Wraith King, who we have yet to talk about, but he's kind of the better Ursa in this patch, I think. And then as far as other Battle Fury characters go, it's just not, like, Battle Fury's not in vogue. Look at the top 2 tiers. None of them go Battle Fury. My beloved Battle Fury Lifestealer build has yet to fully take off. I was doing that about 4.5 years ago and haven't done it since, and I have no plans to continue. Again, the pandemic was a weird time. Not a lot of Battle Fury carries are good right now, and Ursa just takes too long to get his damage going. If you're going in to try to kill a support before they're able to do anything, you have better options that contribute in other ways beyond just doing that. Let me scroll down a little bit so Wraith King can stare at you, hit you with the Sigma stare. Final 3, we've got Weaver. At the beginning of this patch, I actually said that Weaver was going to be a very good hero because of threads. I did not read it correctly. That's not how it works at all. Only one can exist per hero, and it requires you to jump through an insane hoop that Weaver is not very good at. The range of threads is just too short for him to take good advantage of it, and as a result, the damage boost that he gets isn't worth it. What they took away from him in order to give him that is not enough. The one thing that I will commend Valve for is getting rid of bugs giving you XP, which means that Position 4 Weaver is no longer a thing. Oh my god. That's one of those builds that we're going to look back on in 4 or 5 years and be like, what the fuck were we thinking? Why were we doing that? But we're not doing it anymore, thank goodness. Weaver goes in dumpy. His win rate is pretty low. His general win rate is 50, or no, not 50, 45.9%, and then his most common build is 48.2, which even if you look at the people who are playing him right, it's still bad. So there's not much to support here. Wind Ranger. Here we go again. Same exact problems as she had in 7.40. You can play a position 1 Wind Ranger if you like, and you can even win. In fact, the majority of people who do it, they win, 50.5. But the problem with Wind Ranger, which is less of a problem in this patch than it was in the previous one, but it's still a massive gaping hole in her game plan, is that you kill one person and that's it. The only way that you can accelerate yourself to killing multiple people is if you get all the way to level 25 and you buy an Octarine. And you shouldn't do that. Like, this does not an MMR earn. It's so hard to justify picking her as a position 1. Yes, you have a good even lane spread, but first off, you're kind of vulnerable to a lot of position 3s this patch, including the Night Stalker problem that I've brought up with a couple of other characters. Yes, you bully him for the first 5 minutes of the game, then he poops on you, and God forbid he gets that Blink Dagger before you have BKB, and then you're popping BKB to deal with Night Stalker silence, which is not enough. Maybe there is an environment where you can go like a more sensible and refined item build on her, like Hurricane Pike or something like that. But in the current way that Wind Ranger is being played, I am such a non-believer, it's insane. I do not believe in her at all. And what's crazy is in a universe not that far from this one, I'm actually calling her an MMR scam. Because if you go her most popular build option, her win rate is crazy. It's like 55.2. And she's an okay mid right now. I think she's actually a good mid. Like, underrated a little bit. But as far as a carry goes, absolutely not. As far as Death Ball carries go, you have better options for ranged. Drow Ranger, I would rather play her than Wind Ranger. And the best example that I can give is like Wind Ranger is historically a Drow counter. Like hardcore. Because you get to run around and just wail into her with Maelstrom procs. But right now, Drow actually like kind of wins that man fight because of the marksmanship piercing. Even without Shard that Drow used to have, she's still an amazing character and she beats Windranger. If Windranger can't beat Drow, why are you picking her? I rest my case. But no rest for me yet until we talk about motherfucking Wraith King. I love this hero. This hero is so good. Dude, in the second ever video on this channel, I spent a considerable amount of time. It was the wall of text where I first ever did the like comment this for emojis thing, and it was thank you, Mr. Boner, which was a bad idea because YouTube filters them, and I have to manually approve all the comments about boners on that video. I spent a considerable amount of time in it shitting on Spectral Blade, and I was like, why would you ever do this? Pick the bony boys, they're fun, they're good, they help you farm, etc. Now that you have both, it is so broken. Like, think about the play patterns for Wraith King, which you do nowadays, by the way. Phase Boots, Magic Wand is pretty much mandatory on him, and then you go right into Radiance, and then you go Blink, and then you go Shard. With those items alone, you don't need AC, you don't need Desolator, you don't need damage. You blink on a Disruptor, or an Oracle, or maybe Oracle's actually kind of a bad example, but like, you get the idea. You blink on like any position 5, and you just fucking smack them. You smack them, you get the Shard proc for Spectral Blade, you probably stun them before you smack, or after, depending on what rank you are, I guess, and how good you think the reaction speeds are. And then the vast majority of position 5s just die. And there's nothing that they can do about it. Like, you can't dispel it. So you smack them again, you wait, Spectral Blade procs, Radiance is dealing damage to you, and if their team responds correctly and decides to dogpile you, you are a Wraith King. You just come back up, and now the fight went from a 6v5 to a 5v4 in your favor. You know, I just talked about how Ursa is able to do that. The problem with Ursa is that you have to pop BKB because you don't have access to Shard anymore to immediately deal with any CC that comes your way in response to you blinking into their backline. With Wraith King, you can just die, and it's fine. You come back up, and you save BKB for that. So it's amazing. Like, his play pattern with Spectral Blade is so straightforward and so simple and so good that, like, if all you need is Roku tokens, just pick Wraith King and, like, pop Skellies when it feels right. That's all you need to do. You don't need any kind of special information on this hero. Just go Radiance, Blink, Shard, and you will murder people. I think he's exquisite. His win rate is a little bit low for this tier. It's currently at 51.9%, but, like, trust. He's very, very good. So there you go. This is my carry tier list. MMR Scam, Clink's somehow the unnerfable hero. Lone Druid, you guys have seen the clips of like Yatoro 1v-Xing, obliterating the Ancient in record time with Demolish. This hero's broken as shit. If you can play LD, you should be spamming him. And I'm vindicated for calling him broken, even though everyone called me silly. They said he was bad. They called me gay. Well, who's gay now? Exquisite. These are heroes that are very good and should be the bedrock of your carry gameplay this patch. If you notice, a lot of baby carries are very good this patch. Drow, Lifestealer, Luna, Wraith King. Those are great heroes to pick, and I highly recommend them. And if you want to learn PL, now's a great time. You should have done it in the previous patch when Phylactery was better. You can still do it now and have a great time. PL is very good, and if you want him to be your like cheese pick, do it. He's great. Necessary scenarios. These are the characters that you need to have the, not necessarily the perfect, but you need to have a certain thing in order to make them work. Jug is you need to have a scenario where no other carry is good, and you have to blind pick in the second phase. And they don't have any BKB piercing ultis on their support duo. If that's the case, you can pick Jug because you like him. But other than that, don't do it. Not for pubs. You can pick these in coordinated 5-stack games or in tournament. But other than that, I don't think you should be picking these characters as position 1. Tiny is the bait this patch. I know he looks funny when the pro players pick him. You're not a pro player. Don't play Tiny position 1. Dumpy, these are characters where there's just really no reason to pick them. There's other characters that do the same thing but better, or they exist in a particular niche that there isn't really a need for right now. Meepo and Sven kind of belong to that category. Other than that, there's a bunch of other characters that you can pick. No reason to pick these guys. Sparkling Garbage, these are ass carries. Zero reason to pick them. If you're an enthusiast and the game looks amazing and you have 4,000 Morphling games, you can play Morphling if you want. Sparkling Garbage, do not pick these no matter what. These are the heroes with like below 45% win rate. In the case of Nature's Prophet, it starts with a 3. Like, oh my god. Thank goodness, dude. I'm ready for him to be shit for the next 4 years again. But there you go. Carry tier list for 7.41B. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I went a little bit on the builds for these characters if it wasn't completely obvious. And see you guys next time. Peace on planet Earth.